Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride.
It's the most wonderful time of year for us. And in order to commemorate this joyous occasion, we're going to be doing a very special Pride episode. We're going to be covering a movie that came out last year. I don't even know if we've ever brought it up on this podcast in any way, shape, or form.
I don't think so.
I don't. But
yeah, I don't think so.
Technically constitutes as it's a remake, so
it's like, I mean, I like to say the fourth R or fifth R, depending on which one we've had, because I think we've had reimaginings. This is a retelling.
There we go. There's just so many re's, so
of course.
And it's a reason for us to talk about something Pride and gay related, which is, all we really want to do, guys. So,
all the time. Truly.
All the time. Let's just get right into it. We're talking about Fire Island, which is a retelling remake, one of those re's of Pride and Prejudice. Fun facts. I'm Nicole.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Rolando.
And I'm Eddie Z.
And this is Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals.
An original podcast
about
unoriginality.
So as you heard, Eddie Z is back with us in the house. Woo!
Yeah, Eddie, where have you been? I'm your husband, and I have no idea where you've been.
Well, keeping this, keeping food on the table, keeping the podcast
being
afloat.
The provider, yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Actually, I say like it's been a while, but like you were here. You just weren't here you haven't seen Nicole in a while for the podcast.
For the podcast.
Because we did Dungeons and Dragons
yeah.
while you were away, Nicole.
In Patty.
Yes.
He just missed Mackenzie Green. A
He
good
missed
episode.
Mackenzie.
Yes.
He wasn't here for Fatal Attraction either, so.
You weren't here for Fatal Attraction?
Wasn't he here for
No, yes, he
I
was.
was.
We all talked
He
about
was?
Fatal Attraction.
No,
Yeah.
it was the
it's Dead
the
Ringers.
twins.
Dead
Dead Ringers
Ringers,
about the twins.
absolutely.
Yes.
80s remake. Forgot about that. Well, it's always
You
a pleasure.
forgot about that?
to
I'm
have
always
you.
thinking of Joshua Jackson all the time. So
You hear that, Eddie?
he's there with me.
You both are. That's
oh
great.
my god, I love it.
If you guys listened to last week's episode, you know that in just a couple of days we have an event coming up on June 17th at the Hoboken Historical Museum, which is located in New Jersey. So if
In a couple of days, in a week.
It depends on when they listen to this, but it is June 17th, 2023. If you're a member of the tri-state area, you should hop on by around 6:30 to the Hoboken Historical Museum, where Rolando and I are going to be curating some LGBTQ IA short films. And we're going to have a discussion afterwards. But if you can't make it, keep in the lookout for that episode
Bonus
that's going to be
episode.
coming out. Yeah. So kind of started that a little bit, but you guys get the gist. So we're excited for it. And we might have some Pride events in the area as well. So
I know that's in development. So stay tuned. We're excited to announce a Pride event being hosted by us.
Yes.
We're not going to say anything until everything is confirmed, but
yes, but be on the lookout and be in suspense because
stars are aligning.
Yeah. So, any news before we get into this week's episode?
I think we mentioned it last week, right? Samantha is coming back to.
We did mention it last week.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. I just told my friend who loves Sex and the City, and she's so happy because she says she'll stomach another season of just like that, just for it. Other than that, I don't have any new news. Eddie, did anything pop up in your feed of upcoming remakes or reboots?
Nope.
No, yeah, nothing on my end.
It's a quiet week.
Well, the writer's strike, I'm sure, is hurting a lot of development.
Oh yeah. We didn't really talk about that, but we are in full support of that because these writers are getting really dicked over, and it's hard out there. So,
I mean, I'm not 1,000,000% in support of it because this is what gave rise to reality TV, and any chance for me to end up on a reality TV show, I'm going to take. So sorry, writer. No, of course I stand with them.
Mr. Story is King doesn't support the writer's strike.
No, hang on. They're still storing in reality. That's being told by the editor, so they don't get the writing credit, but they kind of do write the stories.
Got it.
It's fascinating.
So, did you watch last week's RuPaul Drag Race All-Stars episode and come up with the idea for this episode?
No, but I actually might be done with RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars.
Why? Because
All-Stars.
of the tea?
Oh, I haven't even. No, I don't. I fell asleep halfway through the first episode. I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to get into it.
I mean, truly, this was a bad idea to follow up last season with this season because like Naisha Lopez, like
I
Monica
don't even
Beverly
know.
Hills.
Yeah,
just-
there's a lot of them. I don't know who they are.
They
The only one I
just
know
don't
is
have those-
Hiding Closet because I love Hiding Closet.
Well, there's a true winner this season. Her name is Jimbo. So it's kind of just like we're all waiting for her to win at this point.
She's Canadian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But last week the judges were Bowen Yang
Oh.
and Joel Kim Booster. So
Both
sorry.
of them. Oh.
Matt Rogers. I'm sorry.
Oh, Matt Rogers. Yeah, the host or were host. I don't know if it still goes on. Las Culturistas.
Las Culturitas. Yeah. Yeah.
You said that with the most
Wait, there's
white
some news.
affect.
Wait, hold on. Wait,
I say everything with that.
Wait, Eddie, you have news? What's up?
Hocus Pocus 3?
Yes,
It is
that's
confirmed.
sequel news. It is confirmed. How? I mean, Disney's really a how. Like we saw this film and it seemed like an ending.
No,
How
it
do we
didn't.
continue? What are
They
you
set
talking
it
about?
up. They set it up for a sequel. Did you not remember? At the end, they set it up for a sequel.
The witches died.
They set it up for a sequel, and it doesn't matter. The witches died in the first movie.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
yeah,
a two.
but this one it felt like their souls evaporated or something.
Or they
They found
And
peace.
also-
They crossed over.
What happened in the first one? They set it up for a sequel. They had
What?
like something with book or whatever. I forgot, but they
Interesting.
definitely
Okay.
set up, and we discussed that.
All right, well there you go. Well, it's confirmed by Disney. So,
Of course, it was a smash hit, so we expected that.
do you think they'll go to theaters? Because isn't the new Iger pushing back to get theater people in theaters instead of
Oh.
Disney Plus?
I'd be with it. I love theater experiences personally.
Yes,
So.
you do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So, back to Fire Island. So Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers. Matt Rogers is his name, right? Right.
Mm-hmm. Matt Rogers.
They were on drag. Good for them.
They were.
I aspire to be one day our podcast be as famous as theirs.
And get invited on RuPaul. I would love that.
I mean, I feel like by the time that happens for us, like RuPaul isn't going to be a thing anymore.
Maybe we'll get invited on
What?
like RuPaul's Drag Race,
Bite
you
your
know,
tongue.
New Jersey or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Some off Broadway version of it.
It'll be Michelle Visage's Drag Race.
Yes, which I would watch, even though she has no business judging drag queens because she's not one. But whatever.
She knows makeup, according to Europeans. They love her.
They do, yeah. So on to today's episode, guys. We're here to talk about Fire Island. We will talk a little bit about Pride and Prejudice because we kind of have to in order to understand why Fire Island is such a unique take. But I want to say that I kind of am excited that we're doing this because if you're an avid listener of this show, you've probably heard us discuss some older films and had one of us be like, ooh, we should remake it and make it gay, right?
Yes.
We've done that a lot.
We have, yeah.
Mhm.
And sometimes the opportunities are just like how it's easy.
It kind of is, yeah. And like just reshaping it to a contemporary retelling, but gay or queer, is a great idea. And well, somebody did it for fucking Pride and Prejudice. So
Which, after watching the film, you suddenly see it's just like, oh, this was not a really difficult task. Like,
yeah,
Jane Austen gave you a really solid foundation on how to turn this into a queer story.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about her, Jane Austen. Has anyone read a book by her?
Yeah, I've read Pride and Prejudice.
I did. I've not read Pride and
You've
read
not?
that,
You didn't have
so-
to read it in school?
Nope, did not have to read it in
Oh,
school.
we had to read it in school. I read it in school, and then I read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. She also gets second credit in that novel because they took.
She should technically get first because they just rewrote her work. But
I think the reason she had to get credit because like it is predominantly still hers
yeah,
that they just rewrote. So actually, she might take top billing over whoever the other writer who wrote on top of it. But Jane Austen is also credited with Pride and
Yeah.
Prejudice and Zombies. I've read the books. I can't say that I'm a learned person of Jane Austen. I just read this for class and stuff, and we discussed it. I think when we read it for class, it was mostly to talk about like English society at this
Yeah.
time period,
Yeah.
and stuff. Eddie, have you read Pride and Prejudice?
No.
Really, I'm actually surprised. I thought that
Yeah.
everyone had to read Pride and Prejudice in high school.
nope. I
Okay.
thought everyone had to read To Kill a Mockingbird, but that's not true.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who do you know that hasn't read To Kill a Mockingbird?
you didn't you
Yeah.
say you didn't read it?
I haven't read it.
Yeah,
but
see,
I'm
there you
just
go.
Don't call me out like that. I was in honors though. I think that maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why. Yeah, I don't think I ever got to English honors. Surprisingly.
Yeah, surprising. Do you know?
So,
wait, God, this is an interesting story. Do you know how I got into English honors? You had to take a test to get into honors classes, and one of them was you had to write an essay and like give like they give you a poem and you have to write an essay about it. And for some reason, I wrote like something about Britney Spears and this poem, and shockingly, that got me. I guess they like the fact that I could like make contemporary associations with like old poems and stuff. So they brought me into English honors.
That's amazing. Kudos on that. And thank you once again to Britney Spears.
I know, truly, my savior.
Yeah. So Jane Austen's kind of amazing. She has such a staying power with, I guess, like so many different cultures, people who just love to read and whatnot. I think she's such a famous author, and people who love her, that fan club is so huge that it's almost kind of cultish. Like you're part of the Jane Austen cult in a way.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, there's like literal college courses on her.
Yeah, there
like,
are.
They're like just a whole semester. I think you could do a literary track on just Jane Austen. That's how prolific she is.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, in her time, which was in the early 1800s, you know, she critiqued and commented and made witty banter, you know, on kind of like her time period. Mm-hmm. And she did it very well. Yeah. And she kind of laid a foundation for other people as to like, oh, this is kind of how you do satire. And she told just really good stories about everyday people of her life, at least.
Yes.
I mean, she's huge in terms of that. Like, there's not that many other authors that I feel like is that ubiquitous and has so much staying power. Maybe Edgar Allan Poe. That's very kind of like you're part of that cult or whatever.
Lord Byron.
Lord Byron?
Oh, yeah, Lord Byron. But he's more of a poet.
Yeah.
William Shakespeare.
Shakespeare's the big playwright for sure. Maybe like even Agatha Christie. They're all British.
Agatha Christie. I mean, yeah. Is Agatha Christie literary though?
Yes, she wrote books.
Like, is Stephen King considered? No. But there's a difference between there's a difference between being a writer and being like a literary icon, right? There's a difference between like literature and just writing.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Yes, she's a literary icon. She literally established so many tropes that we know within a huge genre, which is the murder mystery. Any trope you can think of.
I know, but
Agatha Christie established.
I know, but I think because of genre, that's what takes it away from literature.
I don't know about that because,
I don't
like,
know. I'm an English honors
Poe,
student.
though? He was a genre writer as well. That's
genre.
No,
the genre came from him. I don't think he was a genre writer.
Did the genre come from him?
I believe so. As you know what, as the authority,
we're not literature people, so I don't know.
Says
I
the
can't
guy
who was in English honors.
I was in English honors
because of a Britney Spears fluke. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm gonna take your word for it. All I know is that she's huge. I mean, they make movies about her, like the Jane Austen fan club and whatnot, and they have made dozens and dozens of different retellings about her books and her stories because they just work for that. The most famous one, in my opinion, being Clueless.
Yeah, which is a retelling of Emma.
Which is a retelling of Emma.
Which we almost considered doing for the podcast when the new Emma movie came out, but I had no desire of seeing that new Emma movie. I just
yeah. And luckily for you, a big pandemic hit right at that weekend.
Thank
so you didn't
God.
Have to, right? Yeah.
Truly, he had my back.
He did, yes. So what is Pride and Prejudice about? Well, it's about a woman named Elizabeth Bennet, and she learns about the repercussions of hasty judgments and comes to appreciate the difference between superficial goodness and actual goodness. Interesting, huh?
That's interesting that's how they whittle down like the plot.
That's how they whittle it down. This is Wikipedia, of course. Her father, Mr. Bennet, owner of Longbourn Estate, has 5 daughters, but his property is entailed and can only be passed to a male heir. And his wife also lacks an inheritance, so his family faces becoming poor upon his death. Thus, it is imperative that at least one of his daughters may marry well to support the others. Now that is the motivation. That's the inciting incident of this book.
It's much like Bridgerton.
Which I've never watched, so.
Wow. Have you read his reader?
If I'm not reading Bridgerton, what the hell am I reading, right?
Amen. You know?
Oh, but we're not really here to talk about the book. We're here to kind of talk about some of the movie versions, and of course, primarily Fire Island. So, what movie versions or television shows or retellings of Pride and Prejudice are you like really familiar with, if any?
So the first one that I ever saw was actually the Wishbone Pride and Prejudice version when I was a little kid. That dog, let me tell you, he introduced me to a lot of literary stories that I would end up picking up either in high school or in college, and I'm just like, oh, I know this. Like Wishbone did this. So that one was that's how I first got introduced. So Wishbone played Mr. Darcy. Yeah, it's adorable. It's adorable.
This has got to be like the fourth time you've seen the Wishbone version
first. Yeah, because like I was watching Wishbone as a child, and they do like literary retellings.
That's great. I love that.
I truly wish that someone would reboot Wishbone for like younger audiences so they can start getting accustomed to like literature, because a lot of children's programming, from what I've seen the few times I hung out with like little children, is just like awful. Like the Spider-Man, like it's cool animation. Like there's this show about like cats that save the world in like Cat City or something. They're like superhero cats or something, and it's just like beautiful animation. But I'm just like, God, this is like dribble.
That was a great story.
Watch Wishbone or watch Magic School Bus.
Ooh, Magic School Bus. Yeah, that's a good
learn.
One. So the film that I really like of Pride and Prejudice, surprise, surprise, is the 1940 version, which is actually adapted more from the stage adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. So they turned into a stage play, and then they're like, that's a great stage play. Let's turn that into a movie.
Is it a good stage play? I can't imagine it's... I mean, Jane Austen is known for her dialogue.
Yes, she is.
So I guess it must be easy to translate onto the stage, but it seems like a really boring stage play. Just people sitting around talking about their feelings and prejudices.
That's kind of what most stage plays are.
I know. This is true. This is why I don't go to theater much.
Yeah, this one stars Greer Garson and Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier, who probably remember from the Rebecca film version that you watched. It's an MGM film, and it's got costumes galore. And I mean, it's actually a pretty entertaining movie. So for me, when I like watching classic literature adaptations, I usually gravitate to the older films, because the older films, they don't do what the newer films do, which is like try to completely immerse you in like the time specific sets and the costumes and whatnot. They actually feel more like contemporary to their own time films. So Pride and Prejudice, even though it's a film about people in the 1830s, they talk and everything moves just like a 40s movie. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So they have that, what is it? The
fast-paced dialogue, kind of. Yeah, they have the transatlantic accents, fast-paced dialogue, kind of screwish. And if you like that, it's kind of perfect for you, which is also why I rather watch them adapt it, because they just adapted to be a movie. Whereas more recent classic literature films, really try and go out of the way to make you feel like the book is coming alive. And I know some people like that, and that's great.
I do.
But I prefer, give me the old 1940s version of it where they're like, hey, Lizzie Bennet.
I don't know. Was there a 1940s version of Treasure Island?
Yes.
Okay. And you were telling me that you prefer that over, let's say, the 90s Muppet Treasure Island, in which you had setting. Wait a minute.
The Muppets,
you also had the Muppets.
That's the thing. The Muppets made it their own. I mean, they changed it to Benjamina. They put a fucking Mr. Thimble and Finger. Like, they completely messed with that.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. I actually made a TikTok about it, asking this question. But, like, how has there not been a Muppet Pride and Prejudice? Like, that is an easy one to tell. Like, you have Miss Piggy as Jane.
Elizabeth Bennet.
No, not Elizabeth. Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy would be your humans. Miss Piggy would be Jane, and Mr. Bingley would be Kermit. Right? Like, but you have to have the humans play the roles of Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. And then the first human that came to mind was, for some reason, Jenna Ortega. Like, I'm thinking, if you do contemporary, like, that would be great.
Okay. And Austin Butler as
not Austin Butler. It's got that's the thing. Like, Mr. Mr. Darcy's supposed to be like older, right?
I think so, yes. And he's
Yeah.
supposed to be kind of like curmudgeon-y.
Yes, he is supposed to be curmudgeon-y and stuff.
Just FYI, there's been talk about having a Muppet version of Pride and
Shut
Prejudice.
up! Has there really?
Yeah.
Did I start it?
Holy shit.
Tell me more.
Um,
Because they wasted their time, no offense to the Muppets, with that haunted mansion Muppet version. It's like, I didn't need that. Like, give me like actual literature with Muppets.
Yeah,
That's way better.
that is, yeah.
Like Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island. Like, come on, peak cinema. All right, this is what we need. Eddie, when you find out more, chime in. Mr. Darcy, he loves Mr. Bingley, and he doesn't want to see him get used for his money. And the reason that he tries to separate the two is because he didn't think that Jane loved him the way that he loves him, right? Meanwhile, and he is a prick, right? But that's just his demeanor because he's just like he's of money, I guess. That's probably why he's that way. But meanwhile, Elizabeth, she's looking out for her sister and stuff, and when she overhears like Mr. Darcy talking real shit about them, she's a woman of a certain era, right? So she couldn't just like flip out. She does her best to like kind of be witty and like walk away. But she ends up not, it's not that she hates him per se, it's just that she's now looking for anything that would like kind of excuse like any excuse to be dismissive of him, which is where a lot of the conflict comes. And then she discovers that like he's not actually this asshole. He's actually a really good man underneath it all, and really subtle about what he does as really good for other people. Specifically when he comes to the rescue of her youngest sister, or one of her young sisters. And so it's not that like they started off hating each other. It's just like they just didn't understand. They were just each coming from different places and stuff and looking out for the other person, that they kind of got blinded to each other in a way, right? I actually like just rewatching the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice and stuff. I was just like, this is just a really good job of actually capturing it, because like the Pride and Prejudice was never one of my favorite books. I actually do prefer Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and I had not seen the film because just because Pride and Prejudice and Zombies also captures like, it's not that these two characters hate each other, it's that these two characters are so alike, and that's why they really bond.
Good read. It's just, again, I'm not part of the Jane Austen thing. I've not quite maybe fit into that age group, or just not quite connected with it yet. But yeah, that Keira Knightley movie, it's been ages since I've seen. Maybe I should have rewatched that one too.
It's nice. It's a really fine film and stuff. Like my only complaint about the film is that Keira Knightley is Elizabeth, and it's just like they have her up against like the sister, who's supposed to be the more beautiful one, who's supposed to be the more captivating one. It's just like Keira Knightley is just so captivating on screen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, just, and she has like this, the way the camera is just able to capture her is just like, how could anyone like look past her to the sister? You know what I mean? Like, it made no sense.
Yeah.
Outside of that, my other complaint is that I didn't care for Mr. Darcy. I just did not find him attractive in my opinion, or Mr. Bingley. The men were like kind of ugly, to be quite. But my favorite character, true to form, I think also this is true for me when I read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, is the mom. The mother, I think, is my favorite character, because she is really pushing her daughters to get married, and like she's able to play it over the top and kind of silly, in my opinion. That's kind of the effect. She's doing this out of just society's norms, but I don't know. I love seeing the pair, the father and the mom, like working together to see that their daughters are both happy but well off. Right? You don't get the sense that the dad in the film is doing this to secure their family. He's doing this out of the happiness for their daughters, which I don't think is actually part of the novel. I don't think the father was a little bit removed, I think, from like all the silliness of like courting and all that stuff in the
see.
novel, if I remember correctly. This one, they kind of give him more of like he's a father figure and stuff. It's nice. I like the 2005 version, and stuff. And yeah, Eddie, have you seen the 2005 version? Because that's, I mean, I've heard that's supposed to be like one of the best ones.
Not only did I see it, I've seen it several times.
Have you?
It's my favorite version.
Okay.
Aww.
I just love this. I love Keira Knightley's performance. And I don't know. I just fall in love with this version of Mr. Darcy.
You like this Mr. Darcy?
Yeah.
Okay. What about him?
I don't know. I mean, he's he's true to character. He's protecting his friend, but he comes across as like a snob, like he's better than everybody on the table,
Right.
that kind of thing. He's super wealthy, so everyone has this image that that he's standoffish. He's high above. But you see that he has some little awkwardness to him, when he's around other people. But he is this fierce protector of the people that he does care about. And no, I really love. And his like best line of the movie was like when he tells Bennett, "You have bewitched me, heart and soul, and I love you." Yeah,
That's romantic. Yeah.
Chills.
It is. I mean, it is a pretty
Chills.
romantic film and stuff, and I am not one who gets swept away by the romance of like because like keep in mind when I read it in high school, we weren't reading it for the love story. We were reading it to learn about English society at a time period and how well she was able to capture it. But most people, I mean, people who do love Jane Austen do love this love story between Mr. Darcy and her. And now I guess I've come to understand like why it is like I think it is a very beautiful telling of a love story between two people who there's a lot of the work that they had to put in to get it to work. It's not like so outlandish that like no couple could survive it. It seemed actually pretty realistic.
So should we just get into talking about why we're really here, which is Fire Island?
Yeah, let's get right into it. So,
Can I make a just comment right away?
About Fire Island or
Yes.
Pride and Prejudice?
Fire Island.
Okay, Fire Island, go.
If there's any movie that deserves the title Pride and Prejudice, is this movie.
Hey, nice.
Literally about dealing with gay pride and gay prejudice.
Gay prejudice. Yep.
Actually, it's 1,000,000% true. They should have just named it Pride and Prejudice, and I think it would have been like, what? Who's gonna sue for the rights of that? Like, it's
a Jane Austen estate known for like being vicious like that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's in the
public domain.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Which is why they were able to probably just rip the story off.
Probably, but there's also there's not really a law against making your own version of something, is there? Unless it's like a shot for shot or beat by beat.
That's a good question. I'm not 1,000,000% sure. I'm not a media lawyer.
Yeah.
So
this movie came out last year. It came out last summer. It came out last June 3rd for Pride Month on Hulu.
Yep.
It came straight, to these platforms, and I feel like, I mean, within the gay community, people knew about it, but it just didn't really kind of get, I think, the public release it should have had in terms of some other gay films and the stature of films that they got. Yeah, like Bros got way more publicity than Fire Island did.
Right, which is a movie that I will compare it to because it came out around the same time. Like Bros came out either this year or last year? Last year, right?
It came out last fall.
I would have much rather preferred to see Fire Island in the theaters than Bros.
Yeah.
It's a superior film in my opinion.
If you don't know about Fire Island, if you're not from this area, you just never heard about it. Fire Island is an island off kind of like the Long Island Fire Island Pines, and they have a particular area known as the Gay Village there, and like gays have for years and years and years flocked there during the summer. So it's like a thriving vacation destination for gays in this area.
Have you ever been?
No, I'm not a gay man.
They have a lesbian section, don't they?
That I don't know, and none of the girls I know are like, let's go to Fire Island. All the boys though are like, I'm going to Fire Island.
Yeah, constantly. It's either Fire Island or Provincetown.
Yes, P-Town they also love.
They do.
So,
Those
these are the
northeast
big vacation
spots.
destination in the Northeast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now maybe Asbury Park is like getting up there. Who knows? But
I've seen the prices they try to charge for some of these events, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not paying $1,000 to stay in Asbury Park. Hard pass.
Yeah,
Hard
1,000.
pass.
No.
They,
Yeah.
No.
So it's a group of friends in this one. Instead of a family of 5 friends, it's actually a group of 5 friends. And they're all gay boys. It's Noah, played by Joel Kim Booster, who also wrote the film.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be written by... I knew very little of the film going into it. I've been wanting to see it for a while, but no one wanted to see it with me. And so I just never got around to watching it. So this gave the perfect excuse, this podcast. But I thought it was a Bowen Yang film who had written it, but shocker, what a plot twist! It was Joel Kim Booster who wrote it.
Yeah. And he's the star of it. He didn't direct it. Andrew Ahn directed it. So.
And has Andrew Ahn directed anything else? He has directed films like Spawn Night in 2016, Driveways in 2019. So
yeah. He's a new upcoming filmmaker, so
that's upcoming for sure.
Yeah. When do you stop being upcoming? By your 4th, 5th film?
No. I feel like until you have a mainstream film.
Yeah.
So he technically might not longer qualify as up and coming. Because
by that definition,
We've got like Hulu release.
Yeah. So Noah goes with his close friends Howie. And I'm pretty sure that's Bowen Yang. Yeah, that's
Howie is Bowen Yang.
There is Luke.
There's Luke, Keegan, and Max.
Yeah,
they're playing
Luke,
the
Keegan,
sisters.
and Max, yeah.
He calls them their sisters, right? Because it's like a found family that they all are.
Yes.
And
they're gay, so.
And they're all gay, and the thing about them is that they're all supposed to be kind of representative of like the people who stand out in Fire Island, right? Because when you think of Fire Island, most likely you probably do think of like hard bodies, like white people. And even though Matt Rogers is white, he doesn't necessarily fall into that category of like that muscular guy that you think of on Fire Island. That's kind of why they kind of stick together, right? They feel like a group that doesn't belong, even though they want to so badly. Much like the actual Bennett sisters. Yep. They want so badly to be a part of high society.
Yeah. It's actually like the more we just draw it out, the more it's like, wow, this was begging to be made gay.
Mm-hmm.
So they stay at the friend of their lesbian friend, their house mother, Erin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a lesbian.
She's a lesbian.
She's a lesbian.
Played by Margaret Cho.
Yes, played by Margaret Cho. We love her.
And babe, how long did it take you to realize that it was Margaret Cho?
At the very end of the film.
Are you serious?
She did not look like Margaret Cho.
What does she look like?
She looked like an Asian lady. And I feel like usually Margaret Cho is louder, a little more like boisterous and like much more commanding the screen. I actually loved this kind of more subdued performance by Margaret Cho.
She did good. So the thing though here is that she's kind of like the dad in this situation where she's like, hey, I have to sell the house and this is going to be the last time we're going to have to do this. Kind of like, you know, the Mr. Bennett's like, hey, if I die, y'all are going to be screwed. So y'all need to get husbands stat.
Mm-hmm, basically.
So now this film immediately kind of gets into, like Eddie said, not only gay pride, but gay prejudices, which unfortunately within the gay world, there's quite a lot of them.
So many. I mean, first of all, gays hate lesbians.
They do. I don't know how we're friends.
Oh, I'm constantly like stopping myself from screaming at you when we record this podcast.
I know. Yeah. The resentment runs deep between us too.
No, what are the other prejudice? No, it's mostly most of the prejudice come from
classism. Straight up classism.
Classism and racism.
Racism, yeah. I mean, where racism, it's like if you're a certain minority, you're portrayed more as a fetish than an actual as a person.
Yeah.
And you feel like there's some events where you are not recognized.
Yeah. There's also, it's like bodyist in a weird way too. Like, gay men can be really shallow and not want to hang out with men who aren't like beautifully cut or fit. Classism for me is like becoming more and more, I feel like, of a problem in society, and it really, really sucks that it's so prevalent in gay culture as well, because it's like, wow, this is like, nobody cares about us and we're doing this to one another.
Yeah.
So, because immediately in the film, they meet these like group of guys, and I think they get like invited back to a party, and they're all kind of like, who invited those guys?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And it's James Baldwin, right?
And there's always that asshole that says, "Can I help you?"
Can I help you? Right.
Yep.
So you guys know who James Baldwin is, right?
Yes, of course.
Queer black activist.
Yes.
And prolific writer. Well, he actually has this theory on white gays and black and the minority homosexuals. And the thing is, like, being gay, you're already like an outsider. Therefore, the white gays have this like kind of hostility where they feel like something has been taken away from them. That's why they create these white gay spaces. However, when people of color try to attend these gay spaces, the white gay community feels like the other now is encroaching upon them, right? And that's because like there's a privilege that comes with being white, according to Mr. Baldwin, that that white gays are trying to reclaim. That when Eddie and I are walking down the street, we always put first and foremost that we're brown people, we're Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
Being gay is just another thing against us. So think about being a black person. Like, you have that fear of being a black person in white spaces.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Eddie? I missed that.
Yeah, just another facet of who we are. Yeah,
it is.
What's crazy too is that racism and classism often kind of like bounce off each other, where they'll like see people who dress a certain way, and then if you're black or if you're Latino or if you're Asian and you look a certain way, then you also must be fucking poor, right?
Yeah,
for
sure. Constantly.
Like, white people don't get looks like that. So
And
it's just all sorts of fucked up, guys.
Yeah, they're buying the same shit from the same manufacturers, Shein or Zara. Let's be fucking honest here.
So Bowen Yang's character, Howie, he meets a doctor, and they hit it off. And at that party or at that house, Noah meets a lawyer named Will, who is our Mr. Darcy. And of course, there's immediate tension because he feels like Will is judging him and his friends and doesn't want Bowen Yang's character, Howie, to get with his friend, Charlie, who's a doctor. And they're like weirdly protective of their friends and like, why don't you like my friend? Well, why don't you like my friend, kind of a thing.
Exactly. And, I mean, the doctor, not the doctor, the lawyer, he says as much. What's the lawyer's name? I forgot.
Will. It's Will.
Will. Yeah, Will. He says it's just like, oh, just be careful that they're not after your money. In the famous scene that we all, where you have Elizabeth Bennet spying on them and listening. So did our main character Noah hears this, and as a result, he has this hostility towards
his
Will.
friends make a scene, right? So of course the other gays look at them like, how embarrassing. So that's when Will makes a comment criticizing their behavior.
I mean, they were super embarrassing, but I don't know. They seem like way more fun than like the rest of the guys.
Way more fun. Those are the people I'd be like, I'm leaving with them. Like, they're not fucking stuck up.
Yeah, for sure. 1,000,000%. Oh, it's an exaggeration, but it was a funny exaggeration in my opinion. I thought the juxtaposition was very well articulated in my opinion for this film.
Yes. And then kind of like, I think Noah meets a guy, a really tall, classically handsome white man named Dex, which is weird because that's my cat's name.
I thought he was like Australian, but like, yeah, he's just from California. He has an OnlyFans. He's crazy, muscular, and like has like a mustache. He just looks like he's gonna break your heart.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm sure. Yeah. He just looks like a fuckboy. I'm sure he is a fuckboy.
And he has a history with Will.
He does. And Will doesn't like him, which is something that actually kind of draws Noah to him.
Right.
Because this stuck-up asshole doesn't like him. He must be cool and great,
So in which character is he playing? He's playing I'm trying to figure.
Dex?
Dex is playing
George Wickham.
That's it, George Wickham, the Wickham
Yeah.
character, the sergeant who ends up humiliating the Bennett family down the line.
Yeah. Now, meanwhile, while this is happening, Howie and the doctor are getting close, and Noah is kind of like not being as supportive as he should be for Howie's endeavor. Like his endeavor is like, I'm going to get Howie late, because Howie always comes to Fire Island and doesn't get late because he's just like an awkward gay, whatever. And he's hitting it off with Charlie, but Noah has all like these problems with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's your damage, Noah? Like, I don't know. As a person watching this, I was like triggered by that. I'm like, whoa, unsupportive friends, not cool.
Well, he, again, much to my base understanding of Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth Bennet was not looking for like love, right? She actually thought herself to be she was going to be a spinster for the rest of her life, right? She believed she'd be an independent woman. Same thing with Noah's character here. He does not believe in that idea of monogamy, that he thinks that's like kind of created by heteronormative behaviors. And you look at Bowen Yang, who's based off of Jane Bennett. She has this idea. She wants to get married. She wants to have a family. She wants that. And Bowen Yang's character, he wants that heteronormative lifestyle. And that's where that kind of clash comes. So Noah's really just trying to, it's just like, just get your rocks off. And it's not that he's not being supportive, but he's just like, oh, you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, which is just like, get off. Because, Howie is developing feelings for the doctor.
Yeah.
You know, which again, superficially, I think it's like, oh yeah, this is an easily very well articulated plot point from Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good like kind of twist on it too. And I just, you got to let people make their own mistakes and stuff. So
totally.
Yeah.
And I think, but the reason he also wasn't being supportive was because at the same time, Noah just assumes that since the doctor is friends with like someone like Will, he's just like, he's probably bad news down the line. So like, just get to it and let's enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
And
then like a lot of like classically gay shit happens. Like they go to a dark room. Have you ever been to a dark room, boys?
I'm not going to answer that on the podcast.
Why not? Who cares?
It's a family show. My mom listens to it.
It's gay culture. Like, hey, it's a norm for gay men.
I have been to places where there are dark rooms.
Cool.
Have I taken a peek? I mean, who hasn't?
You have
to. You want to see what's going on?
Yeah, like Will starts seeing that Noah's taking a real deep interest in Dex. Is like, don't fucking do it, and Noah's like, back off. And then it turns out that Dex is a predator who likes to drug boys and kind of like sexually assault them for content.
Okay, that was your read. I don't know if it was straight up sexual assault. He didn't drug him because the character of Matt Rogers' character took those drugs very willingly before they knew Dex was there.
And
however,
he knew that was going to make him that way.
I think that was a joke, right? They didn't know they didn't know necessarily what these drugs were, and they didn't know how they were going to affect them. But they took those drugs before they even knew they were going to be intimate with Dex. He was not in the right state of mind to consent. That is true. It was fucked up that like Dex goes on and films it and like posts it on his OnlyFans, which again, much like the characters these are based off of, the scandal was that the youngest sister, the Bennett sister, she ran off with the soldier, therefore humiliating the family and could really fuck up the family name as a result. No one would marry them. I've learned this from Bridgerton. Scandal is a big deal. And instead, you have Will come in and like kind of like do Legally Blonde moves on him.
Yeah, some legal action because he's a lawyer. I mean, having sex without someone's consent is assault.
That's the thing. So
definitely
that's what he did.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's be clear though. Let's be clear. Is sometimes it's like what ends up happening is people drink and people do drugs and they get high and they end up hooking up, right? And stuff happens. Then you wake up and you're not sure. Did I give consent? I mean, he said, well, I mean, at least for this particular character, he was like, I don't remember giving consent, but I do remember we did get up and I just thought, oh, it was how romantic. And then we had lots of sex in the morning, which I did consent to, But the thing that he
didn't consent to.
And then he says, I don't remember consenting to either was being filmed.
That is
okay
for sure.
Because sometimes you're drinking and then or doing drugs and you're so high and you say yes to everything and you don't know what you're saying yes to. Yeah. And then you wake up and there's consequences.
I mean, I'm of the firm belief that if you're talking to someone and then they get fucked up, whatever plans you had for them, you put on hold.
Yeah, but we don't know for sure that Dex wasn't fucked up either, though.
I guess. I mean,
right? Like, we don't know, because when he's interacting with Noah at the party, like, he's already seen kind of like on drugs and stuff. I think they even offhanded mentioned that they were taking drugs.
Yeah, but like drugs is very like umbrella term because it depends on the drug. Because if you take a drug or if you're told you're taking a certain type of drug and then you do something else and then it makes that drug that you actually took effects worse, like say a roofie,
right?
Or G, which gay men really love to take. You know, if you drink one fucking thing, you're fucking on your ass. People, that's how people get baited all the time in the club. So even though you're like, yeah, I'm gonna take E or something, but actually someone gave you something fucking else. You know, that's the thing. Just because he knew he was on drugs, like, well, what drug did he think he was taking? What did he actually get?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that whole part of the movie is a little murky, and it is dark. Like, it goes pretty dark, and I don't know if necessarily what Dex has, like, what ends up happening to him is, like, justifiable, because he got pushed into a pool and his phone got thrown into the water. It's just like, I don't know. Like, is that really justice? Like, not in my opinion.
Man, I hear a lot of sympathy for Dex just because, you know, he's hot.
But no sympathy.
Not at all. But I think it becomes so murky and confusing when we live now in a culture where you have a lot of people OnlyFans, and the new and everyone's collaborating, you know, and you got your sex tape out, you know, and your nudes are your currency, so it gets this weird area, especially in the LGBTQ community, where it's like, you know, what's is this okay? This is not okay, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's many people who are willing to 100% participate in stuff like that too.
Yeah, especially I'm sure on Fire Island. Like, you gotta afford that lifestyle somehow, some way.
But
yes,
I mean,
sure.
I mean, definitely, ultimately, consent is important. Respect, permission.
Yeah.
I think it was
a problem in every culture, and it's a problem in LGBTQ plus, you know, culture. Yep.
It was a dark moment in the film for sure. I didn't think it was gonna go there. It went there. I felt like I was watching Degrassi all of a sudden, but
yeah. Do you think it needed to go there? Like, was that a problem? Because like this movie's addressing a lot of things in the gay community that people can relate to, right? What, like, one, Fire Island and within itself, but then it's like other things, classism and racism within the community. You know, men or gays who like to use like platforms, who are addicted to these type of platforms and like the way that they're, you know, sexual objects of desire to the point where they make like money off of it and stuff. Like, that's kind of where it seemed to go, like addressing that whole kind of subculture within it. But it also kind of, like we're discussing, it wasn't really clear on how it worked.
I think it might not be the strongest part of the film, but if you're trying to do an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, it was, I think, the best option for something that can cause a scandal in one's life. Right?
A reputation.
Right. That's it. Thank you. Reputation. That's what ultimately Lydia's actions in the Bennett families could cost her.
Yes.
Of their reputation. In this instance, the character has his face on cameras while he's getting rammed, and it could ruin his life. It was already ruining his life. Like, the mother figure, she mentioned that, like, it's already being shared by the people in the thing. And the problem with that is just, like, once it's on the internet, it's there forever.
Yeah.
Like, someone will save it. So, like, his reputation probably is ruined. So, in terms of for the story and for the plot device of the characters that they're trying to tell, like, I think it was a logical choice. It made sense. Like, I actually was just like, oh, this is a really interesting way of telling this part of the Pride and Prejudice story, because, like, reality, let's be real. Like, if the if it was like the sex thing, like oh, he ran off with another guy, like who would care?
Yeah.
But no, this is like him getting fucked on camera and having it on an OnlyFans. Like that is like, oh, that is a scandal.
Yeah.
You know?
No, for sure. Yeah, I
It's-
think their intention was right, but they could have definitely fleshed it out a bit more.
Well, I think they should have punished him. Dex needs a punishment, in my opinion, is what he needs for this. Because in the novel, Wickham doesn't really get punished. He ends up marrying the daughter because Mr. Darcy pays him to.
Pays the dowry, right?
He pays like the debts that this guy was under to
Yeah.
get him, you know,
Yeah,
to take, you know, to do the right thing.
true.
So yeah, so I think justice should have been served, but that's it. But yeah, interesting part of the film to harp on, Nicole. But yeah, I think it's an important one. I would agree. Like,
Well, of course, you know, as we know that how the story ends is that Noah, Elizabeth Bennet, and Will, Mr. Darcy, actually realize that they kind of like each other and they have a lot in common because they actually ended up talking about things like books and literature, and they just have this weird, like, fiery antagonistic thing. But then they realize the true intentions of one another. So.
yeah, I actually like the chemistry between the two of them. I thought it was so cute.
That was sweet.
I thought it
You
was.
thought so?
Yeah, I actually, first of all, that the guy James Scully who plays Charlie, he's Charles Bingley. I think he's so adorable, and like I think the romance that you could see blossoming between the two felt so awkward, so corny, but it's just like it seems so right for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Charlie ends up not making it with Howie and stuff. By the way, like Howie and him, they don't work out, right?
Did you watch the movie? They
Yes,
end up together.
did. They do end up Howie and Charlie,
and
not
Charlie.
Noah and Will.
No, both couples end up together.
But isn't he like hung up on his ex?
No,
I didn't
okay.
rewatch the movie.
Okay, yeah. So, yes,
It's the karaoke moment, karaoke night when this guy is singing. He starts realizing things about him, and then the best buddy was like, "You gotta fix this. He's on a ferry. He's going home. You need to do a grand gesture."
Yeah. So the reason,
That's
so
right.
it wasn't supposed to. It starts feeling like it's not gonna work out because one of the other roommates in the house that they're sharing in Fire Island, he's playing the role of I don't remember who it is, but I think it's like the niece of like Catherine DeBarge, Judi Dench's character in the Pride and Prejudice film. So she wants so this guy, he wants to end up with Will, but Will is developing feelings for Noah, the main character. And so I think the friends bring over the ex in order to like get Charlie's eyes off of this group of guys, right? And Charlie, he starts falling for the ex again because they have a long history together, and it kind of takes Noah like kind of confronting him and telling him like, you're missing out on a good thing because you're doing the easy thing of going back to your ex. And that's what ultimately he does, this grand gesture of stealing a boat from lesbians to win back Howie.
That's right. He does steal from lesbians. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember. Thank you for refreshing my memory.
Yeah. So they end up together, and then that sets up Noah and Will to kind of end up together too.
Yes. And then the movie ends with them playing Donna fucking Summer, which is just the gayest thing.
I mean, it's
really
Donna
great.
Summer. How dare you?
Donna Summer?
Is it Summers?
No, it's Donna Summer.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know. You were accusing me of saying it wrong.
No.
Oh.
Like you her belittling her music.
No. I said it's the gayest thing in the world. That was a positive thing.
Oh, okay.
When
It
I
sounded
say
very
things like gayest,
judgmental.
You're accusing okay, whatever. We're gonna let that slide. So I actually think that like I would hope that this would spark more gay retellings of classic stories. Because they did it so well. They adapted it perfectly. They found these contemporary parallels. You know, they made it fucking work, and they were true to the story.
Yeah, I agree 1,000,000%. I think part of it, and I think what also I kind of want is not just a gay retelling, but like give me a queer minority retelling of a story, because I think that added way more, like if this was just like white gay guys,
Absolutely.
It would not have hit
I would,
because
yeah.
I think having like two Asian men front and center and talk about like not just being an outsider already to the straight world, like you're already an outsider in the gay community, so you're like even more isolated. I think that's what made this kind of the story like even much more compelling to watch, and I was just like here for it.
No, yeah, and it's kind of brilliant too as a way to become accessible to maybe a more heteronormative audience. It's like, oh wow, this is actually Pride and Prejudice. Let me see it. Like, you know, like people don't like to watch new things or take chances on new things, so you kind of need it to be regurgitated of something else for people to give a chance on it. And maybe that's why Bros didn't do so well when it came out. You know, I don't know.
I mean, Bros didn't do well. I don't know. I think it wasn't.
Do you know why? Because it wasn't good or something?
I didn't like it. Oh, it's not that I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I thought it was just like fine at best, in my opinion. I don't know if Billy Eichner was the right choice. That's really what it comes down to. Where here, I mean, Bowen Yang is kind of a star in his own right.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He wasn't the lead. Right?
Yeah.
It was this other guy. I thought this movie was going to be a Bowen Yang like vehicle. It was not. And actually making Bowen Yang playing second fiddle to this other guy, I think was a smart choice in the film.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like the guy they cast to play Will, I think he was just like the right amount of charming. Like you start off like not liking him, and then by the end you really won over by him. And I think I don't know if this was like subtle camera work or it's just like you developing feelings for the character, but I think he just got more attractive as like the movie progressed. Especially when he let himself go to do those 90s dance moves on the dance floor on the karaoke stage in front of the drag queen, right? Like I think that was like a sweet, sincere moment that I think it's a callback to at least the 2005 version of the film where, you know, she's talking about Elizabeth Bennet talks about like how she loves to dance. Yes. She wishes someone would dance with her, and I think that was like a nice little. I don't know if it was a callback because I don't remember if that was in the novel, so but I do remember it from the movie.
Yeah, and he's not white, which is also great. He's Filipino, so
he is, and yeah, again,
not white.
Smart choice. This was not a. It wasn't a film that was. What?
I was gonna say, you know who was white? Dex.
Dex was. You're right. Is that problematic that the only like bad person is white though?
Oh my god.
Nope, not at all.
No, okay. I don't even think Matt Rogers is completely white.
Yeah, he looks like he's like Latino to a degree.
He might be. I'm looking him up real quick. I don't know. I don't want to. Not that it matters. It doesn't matter because like he's just one of the guys in this group that already feels like an outsider from the rest of the thing. But like, I think that took a little bit of like my head wrapping around because like, you know, Matt Rogers. It's not like he wouldn't fit in like in. If I saw him on Fire Island, like, or same thing with also Joel Kim Booster. Outside the fact that he's Asian, I mean, he's like a hot guy.
No, yeah,
like,
he is.
I could easily see him like dancing on those stages and stuff. Bowen Yang, I understand. Like, there's like you know, someone who is not like fit. I understand what it's like to like, and he's like, by no means am I calling him fat. I'm just saying he's just got like a normal body. Like, but in the gay community, that's basically like you're morbidly obese. I'm
pretty much, yeah.
Dead
Isn't that
to
crazy?
the gay community.
I know that's one thing I love about lesbian culture is it's not like that at all.
Oh, really? That must be. It's not like Mean Girls.
No.
Wow, good for you guys. No.
I feel like straight women have more pressure on them to look a certain way.
Gay men have more pressures than I feel like cis white women do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because men are turned on by physicalities. That's why y'all are so hard to fucking please.
Totally.
So let's come up with some Hollywood. If you're listening, here are some classic stories that you need to retell with queer people. The one that comes to mind that Rolando is always like, I'm gonna write it. I don't know if he started it yet, but all he has is Love Affair.
Yeah.
Gay.
I don't know if that's like a classic. I mean, it's a classic film, but it's not like a classic.
It's a classic film.
I was thinking of like literature, like what classic literature.
Okay, let's do literature. How about Rebecca? We actually also covered that.
I don't know. Could you do Rebecca? I feel like Rebecca could be done as a contemporary horror. I don't know if you could. I'm trying to think if you could queer it up.
There's already some lesbian undertones in that, so let's just like make it all out. Just
you
women.
Could make it, yes. All right. Fine. Yes. Of course. You can make it a lesbian story. Rebecca can easily work as a lesbian tale.
Yes.
That I would love. I actually would kill to watch that. And I'm already thinking, who would I cast? I'm seeing your girl, Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett's good as the housekeeper whose name I can't fucking remember. That's who I was thinking.
I was thinking her her as a housekeeper.
Oh, just make it like my dream team. You know, put like Rachel Weisz in there.
Is she the one the
she
old
should
guy?
She should be Maxime actually.
Oh,
right.
Okay. That's the guy, right?
Yeah, and then her like new young wife's got to be like, I don't know,
Billie
not Jenna
Eilish.
Ortega, but like some hot Latina actress.
Okay, you want hot Latina?
Yeah, because I think that she should be a minority in order for it also to be like, who is this? Like, it's got to be like really, really white women.
Okay, all right, I like this. Where this is
going.
Right.
Right.
Oh wait, why? I mean, you want Latina? I was gonna say like, why not like a black actress?
Yeah, it could be black too. I always go to Latina because I'm a Latina, so it's like me putting myself in there.
I'm just throwing Zendaya.
Ooh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oscar
Perfect.
bait.
Love this. All right, let's come up with at least one more.
All right, I gotta think of classics. Now you're putting me on the spot. I wasn't thinking of classic literature. Let's see.
Okay.
Eddie,
I'm
what
thinking.
Oh, you're also thinking? Okay.
There's The Great Gatsby. I know a lot of people have done some retellings of that. I guess you could make that gay.
I mean, you could, because Nick, I think, was in love with Great Gatsby, but...
Yeah. I want to make a TikTok series called Dicula, which is like Dracula, but made Dicula, you know, so there's that, but I'm patenting that idea so nobody can
We
steal
kind
it.
of got that already a little bit with the Dracula Netflix series.
Dicula. Women.
I know, with the lesbians. You want about lesbians.
Lesbians.
What about A Tale of Two Cities? Do you think you could queer that one up?
Never read it. I don't know the story. How about Great Expectations?
That one I never read. So
Damn it. This is harder than we thought.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Ooh. There's a British film from the 70s called Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. So every time he turns, he becomes this gorgeous woman. And it's kind of like the ultimate bisexual film.
Oh, see, all right. So it's already kind of going there. And I think you could make it contemporary with the fact of like how right now the like LGBT, like the transgender or even the drag queen community is being ostracized by like the conservative right. Like I think maybe you could turn that one into when a guy takes his potion, he turns into like this vicious, cutting, almost Bianca Del Rio type of drag queen who just eviscerates like just Republicans and stuff.
Yeah.
And like now there's a hunt for this drag queen.
Yeah.
There you go. Like that. Boom, right there. RuPaul, I hope you're listening because like,
seriously, somebody take this idea. Also, Rebecca, we should call it Becky.
Okay. I'm trying to like I have a list of like classic literature, but I haven't read a lot of these, it turns out. Could you do Count of Monte Cristo? You might be able to make that one
Yeah, I
okay.
can see.
I've never read that, but sure.
No, that's the one that's a revenge story.
Oh, well, who doesn't love a good revenge story?
It is a great revenge story. I think you could also, in theory, queer that one up just by... So Count of Monte Cristo, there was actually... One of my favorite telenovelas was basically Count of Monte Cristo, which is just a woman, she gets accused for a crime, and after she's released or she escapes, she comes into this wealth, and she makes it her mission to bring down the family that accused her of this crime and stuff. And that's basically that's the plot of Count of Monte Cristo.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could totally easily give that some queer undertones. I don't know specifically how much, but it's there. It's there.
Well, you could also do Emma. Make Emma gay.
Yeah, you could just make Clueless. I mean, we have Clueless though. Like Clueless is kind of also pretty. It's not gay, but like the gays love it.
Yeah, it's kind of honorarily gay.
You know? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we came up with a bunch of ones, I guess. So, I still think you should write An Affair to Remember, a love affair.
Eventually, maybe one day. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm
All
so
right.
busy with life.
I know, isn't it the worst?
Worst.
Is there anything else we want to add on this before we wrap up for today?
Outside. Well, so what did you overall think of the film? Like, did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Do you think this should have been seen in theaters versus streaming? I know you always prefer.
I always prefer theaters, yeah.
But
I also, I would have preferred to see
benefited?
this with a gay audience, you know, who like could relate to it and stuff. Like, I don't know if I would have gone to a theater on a 10 a.m. and seen it with like a bunch of seniors, but like a nice, you know, gay audience, that would have been great. So I always I love feeling people's energies and hearing their reactions. We talked about that in length last week on The Little Mermaid and how great it was to add to that.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed this film. I feel like after I first watched it, I was like, okay, and it had to sit with me. And this is the type of film that kind of it grows on you the more it sits with you.
I agree. For me, I was more so just surprised at how much I came out enjoying it. I've been wanting to see this film since last year, but as I mentioned, like Eddie, why didn't you want to see this film? Because I have been pitching it a few times. Every time, like we're looking for something to watch.
It's like when you're just not in the mood.
You just need to be in the mood to watch. So I'm always looking to watch like actual gay films.
Yes, same.
And I prefer the worse, like the more terrible, the better, in my opinion. Sometimes Eddie doesn't get down like that. Eddie, you know, we'd rather just watch Hollywood stuff. With nothing wrong with that. But this was one of the films that I wanted to watch it because I had read reviews and I heard it was good and I was just like, oh, this would, you know, worth watching. Instead, we did see Bros in theaters, and Bros, like I said, I'm just like, like seeing that one in theaters helped it a little because more people laughed and you're more inclined to laugh when people are laughing around you. But
yeah,
I tried to rewatch it and I'm just like, it's not. This is fine at best.
I'm gonna challenge though that idea that like a lot of gay films aren't that good, because that's a very heteronormative perspective on it.
Okay? I mean,
straight people have been saying for the longest time that gay films suck, and now that when we actually go and we watch classic gay films that came out in say 70s, 80s, and 90s, they're like, wow, they actually don't suck. They just were kind of like, fuck you, straight people.
Oh no. Okay, I'm talking about like 90s, 2000s gay movies that almost feel like they're almost like usually they have like that wolf brand in front of them. You know they're going to be like a train wreck.
Ooh. Are you talking about like D-list movies?
Yeah, like those.
Okay, fine.
Like those.
I guess those are different.
Terrible movies.
Some of them are good.
Some of them, when they're like charming, they're charming. But when it's like watching Hallmark movies, but with gays basically. But I enjoy them. I think watching them sometimes is so much fun because they're sometimes so like shitty, but like so just funny and charming.
Yeah,
I like those kinds of films.
I'll take that. Hey, funny and charming. That's a great quality of a film. So. Well, okay, cool. Yeah, is that all?
That's all. I mean, you know, this was a very special Pride episode.
A very special Pride episode. That is the title of today. Thank you for joining us and coming to Fire Island with us. Have you seen it? If you haven't, get on that. And if you're a diehard Jane Austen fan, I apologize for this episode. Reach out to us. These are the ways that you can. Email us, remakesrebootsrevivals@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media on Instagram @remakesrebootsrevivals. We're on Twitter @Remakes Podcast. You can search for us on Facebook and YouTube by searching Remakes, Reboots, Revivals. And if you're listening to this on a podcasting platform, do us a favor, click on our name, go to the rating tab, give us a rating, and if you can, give us a review because we just love to hear from you guys. So yeah, I think we should keep on like the special Pride theme of the whole month, you know? So like if we kind of don't do like typical properties, unless something's like begging for our attention, we should just keep this going. So if I would love some audience recommendations.
Yeah.
We could do some evergreens. You know, if we don't end up getting any ones that we respond to, we'll end up picking one, I'm sure, between us. But yeah, let's keep it going all Pride Month long.
Someone had recommended in person. What was we got a recommendation over the weekend from someone in person. I don't remember what it was. It was The Producers.
That was, yeah.
And we were like, oh yeah, we'll consider it.
Consideration.
Yeah. But then I thought of Fire Island. I was like, oh no, this one is more contemporary.
It's better.
Not better, just more contemporary.
It's a better Pride themed episode, shall we say?
Yes, that's better.
Yes.
That's a better way of putting it. But
cool. All right, well, we'll figure it out. And when you guys come to your podcasting platform to listen next Friday, you'll see what we pick. And so until then, Stay
unoriginal.
unoriginal.